Hello there everyone and welcome back to Kerbal Space Program Flyer's Ed. My name is Gord and once again I am here with Mr. Pfister, our instructor.
Hello.
Yeah, and
So,
today we're going to go somewhere.
other than crazy,
Well, that would be preferable, yes. But
because I've got an express pass for that place.
Yeah. Crazy is as crazy does. Like firing the rocket in this direction right now would probably be crazy.
Let us double quick save. Let's standard quick save and let's also menu quick save.
Okay. F5 has been clicked and Alt F5. Okay.
Parking orbit.
All right.
Kerbal parking orbit.
Good call. Because that's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Incorrect capitalization is okay.
How do I English?
I'm not sure.
Yes. Yeah. All right. Let us plot a burn moonward.
All right.
Show me how it's done.
Let me see. I usually just start by plunking down a maneuver node and shifting it around once I've got it out far enough that it can get a Munar intersection.
All right.
So start there and then start pulling it around until I get that happening.
Okay.
And
what? Okay, stop.
Yep.
What is this showing?
Right now, it's showing what would happen if I burned prograde for 1 minute and 1 second on this maneuver node. That I would generate an orbit that would swing me out and go right through the moon. From the looks of it.
What does through the moon mean?
It means that we would crash.
Okay, that's an impact trajectory.
Yeah.
Or a crash trajectory. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now, so, what does that 824 refer to?
824. If I had to take a guess, that would be the acceleration that we need to apply prograde.
That's 95% of the correct answer.
95% of the correct answer. What is the 5% I am missing here?
That is approximately 824 meters per second of velocity energy introduced.
Which is also known as that thing they call delta V, correct?
Delta V, delta is a character out of the Greek alphabet. Mm-hmm. And in science notations, particularly chemistry and physics, but not exclusively, it refers to a change. So a delta temperature is a change in temperature, usually an introduction of heat energy. Delta V is an introduction of kinetic velocity energy.
Right. I actually
yes
remember that now.
Yep.
Yeah.
Now, every craft, there are mods that can display this information more eloquently than we have here, but every craft, when you calculate it against the rocket equation, and that's an actual thing, the rocket equation,
yep.
You get a delta V loadout, delta V budge out, total delta V. How you refer to it conversationally doesn't matter. What it's talking about is its maximum opportunity for velocity energy input changes.
All right. That makes sense.
Implicated against that are the differences between velocity and speed, for example, the differences between mass and weight, for example, but ultimately it's talking about the same thing. What does the 2861.9, what does that number refer to?
That is the universal time where this burn has been scheduled to occur.
What is universal time?
It's basic. If I recall correctly, it's basically a measure of time that eliminates minutes, days, and hours and all that. It's just pure.
When you start the game, all of the planets are in a default starting position. and their orbits are not calculated gravitationally. They're calculated physicsally. They're on rails. You can't modify their orbits no matter what you crash into them.
Okay, so UT basically is a game state measurement?
Yes. In number of seconds since you began from a default starting game state.
Alrighty. Okay, so it's basically just, for all intents and purposes, it's a measure of how many seconds it's been since this universe started.
Yes. And they
All
always
right.
start in the same position.
Okay. Cool.
Now, here's one other thing I want to ask you before we get back to plotting the burn.
Mm-hmm.
It's ticking to 37 minutes. What is that?
Sorry, 37 minutes. Oh, up there?
Yeah.
Up here, up in the upper left corner?
Mm-hmm.
T plus 37. That would be the total flight time.
Okay. It is also the MET, mission elapsed time, as distinct from UT. Why don't you click on that MET logo? Oh my goodness, what do we have here?
Hello. So it tells me what this is in a different time format.
What does it say?
Year 1, day 1, 49 minutes and 56 seconds. Or 0:49, so it's 50 minutes since the world started.
Exactly. Our mission elapsed time is tapping the underside of 40 minutes. Our universal time is just eclipsing 50. That's the result of 10 minutes of game elapsed time off camera before we started recording.
All right. Neat. And click it
Let's
again.
go back to MET.
Yep, there we are.
There you go.
Cool.
All
right, we need to...
Let's plot a nice, sedate transfer burn to the moon.
All right, so we need to tweak this a little. The question is, do we need to leave sooner or later?
Well, I'll tell you that it's not possible to leave sooner because we've already passed that UT point.
Actually, that's one thing I need to do is I need to reset the node. That was
didn't.
That was not the button I intended to click. So
fair enough.
Yeah. But that actually gives us... I see we're coming around the front of it.
Let's put it on Conics mode too.
Okay. Much more useful. Yeah. I'd much prefer that.
And now let's click on the Munar Periaps flag.
Right there. Yes, right, of course. Ooh, nope, not that.
There you go.
Go here.
All right. No, you had it.
There we go. Yeah, I had it. There we go.
All right.
All right.
Now, if you play with the slider controls on the orbit maneuver icon, I will hurt you.
Yeah, I know. I only use those for the bulk level, the initial bulk movement. That's what precise node is for. That's why it's recommended. It's the only thing I have trouble with in precise node is they've changed the interface in this version.
Pointer finger click plus, middle finger click minus.
All right. There we are. Okay, so that's plus, minus. All right, so it's left mouse button, right mouse button. So if we get there a little sooner, we're getting into a closer orbit.
We're not worried about sooner right now. Remember in our last episode, we talked about perspective and terminology and how different properties of your orbital environment can interact to have very different effects?
Right.
Sooner and later, they do exist, but at this stage of the game, they can be very misleading. Let's avoid discussing it in those terms for now.
Fair enough.
Okay.
So which is the better thing to change first? Departure time or prograde?
Let us exhaust our possibilities on prograde before we start working with our other attributes.
Okay. So...
Yep.
That's probably about as good as it's going to get for a prograde.
Is that as good as it's going to get? Well, that sounds like a challenge to me, son.
It's as good as it would get with just manipulating prograde, I think.
You think so?
It's getting more and more eccentric, isn't it? I guess we could reduce the change the precision, couldn't we? I guess the question is, how close do we want to get?
Let us get a Munar initial periapse of between 25 and 32 kilometers.
Okay, quite close then. All right, 25, 26 and a half.
I love it.
Okay.
Now, let us... What does that O button in the upper right corner of the precise node interface do?
This thing right here brings up options.
All right, let's close that. And what does K stand for?
It looks like a whole bunch of different hotkeys.
All right, let's kill that.
Yeah.
Now, see where it says node 1 and delete? Don't click delete.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I do. Yep.
And you see to the right of prograde it says MS?
Right of prograde. MS, yes.
Let's click MS. All right.
Oh.
Now I want you to click. Now I want you to click on the maneuver node.
Click here.
On the maneuver node. Yep.
Okay.
Now I want you to throw it so far out of whack you'd want to beat yourself.
Yeah, that one right there. Every time.
All right. Okay. Now I'm going. Nope.
Yeah. Nope.
We're going to get rid of it through a new method.
All right.
You see down on the burn indicator 1668.2?
16, yeah.
By the Nav Ball?
Mm-hmm.
Nope, by the Nav Ball.
Yes. Burn indicator.
Up.
Oh, there we are, yes. Oh, that right there?
Click that.
Okay. Magic. You know, I never noticed that.
A lot of times it can be very difficult to finagle a half-hidden maneuver node and get it to delete. That's the way you can delete it, and you don't even have to be in the map view to do it.
Nice. Okay.
Now, let's make another maneuver node.
Yep. And...
we lost it, but I'm not worried about it.
Okay. We can remake that pretty fast.
Yeah. Well, position it further to the right. Slide it to the right a little bit. Put it over the landmass.
Yeah, right
there
about there.
Yep. What's the periapse?
Yeah. Periapse. We're going to find out in just a second. Ooh, no, not quite. The second. Oh, there we are. Got it.
There you go.
207.
Get us back to approximately 25 kilometer orbital altitude.
All right. And oh, that disappeared for. Oh no, there it is. Good.
Well, your flag disappeared because your periapse disappeared.
Yeah.
It turned into an impact trajectory.
Yep. There we go. 26.
I like it.
All right.
Let's save the node. MS.
Yeah. All right. Now.
Let's go to flight view. What were you going to ask? I'm sorry. I'm talking over you.
Is there any value in manipulating? I noticed that it starts swinging out into a slightly eccentric, or not eccentric, is it inclined orbit? Is there any value in changing that now, or tweaking things to make that not happen, or are we coming into a pretty good orbit around the moon?
Operationally speaking, I think it's the second one. We're not looking for surgical precision.
Okay.
That said, if that were important to our mission profile, the sooner you can get it taken care of in your orbital trajectory, the better. And there is no sooner than your actual transfer burn.
Right. That makes sense. Man, the burn time on this thing is really low. It's impressive.
Well, that's because it's a low mass.
Low mass. I think it's because the electricity requirements in Sandbox, because there's no life support in vanilla. Usually I have to take a massive batteries along with me to keep the guy alive for the Munar trip. But
all right, so let us time warp around and prepare to burn.
All right, quick save, because when I time warp, You hate to miss it.
Mm-hmm.
I've had to completely refilm entire episodes because of missing a time warp window. Which is one of the reasons I have certainly given some good contemplation to Kerbal Alarm Clock.
Well, yeah.
Yeah. I've also just learned to be really careful with how fast I accelerate things.
Right.
Yeah. All right. So now, way back in the day, I was given the advice to burn 50% on either side of the actual node. So if the estimated burn was 1 minute and 1 second, I was advised to start my burn 30 seconds before the node.
Mm-hmm.
Is that is a sensible advice?
Yes. The reason, and I'm going to continue talking while you execute this node flawlessly. Fair enough?
Sounds good.
All right.
Here we go.
The reason that is because when we calculated that maneuver node, what the game engine, what the meat of the computer program that is Kerbal Space Program is doing, it's calculating what would happen if you concentrated a sledgehammer shot of 800 some odd meters per second of velocity energy in 0 seconds. But because we can't do it in 0 seconds, we had to burn the engine for 61 seconds. To make the math right, you have to distribute it as evenly as reasonably possible across that burn node.
I see. And so this is also why it's probably not a good idea to chase the node as it starts shifting.
There are situations where yes, and there are situations where no.
This situation would be probably a no. Let's see how we
do chase it. See how it says 6.9 right there by the burn indicator?
Oh, okay. So that's how much more delta V I need to put into this thing, or how much more thrust.
I want you to do your best, and you won't be able to do it perfect, but I want you to do it as best as you can.
Mm-hmm.
Follow the node at low throttle until we get below 0.2 meters per second.
Okay. All right. I think I slightly overshot, but
that's fine. Leave the node. Do not delete it.
Yep.
Let's shift our camera focus out to the moon.
All right. Let me see if I can get this thing to do it. Wait, I have to double click it. I have to double click the actual moon. There we are.
Yep. Now let's zoom in.
Mm-hmm.
Now I want you to click both of those flags.
There's one. There's two.
And orient the camera so that we can... That's fine. So our projection was 25.9.
Yep.
And our actual is 45. Leave your camera alone.
Mm-hmm.
Focus your attention on your nav ball.
Okay.
Maneuver to your prograde vector.
So the yellow circle right here. Correct?
Yep. Okay. And I just want you to puff out a little energy. Nothing big.
On and off.
Okay.
Wow.
Now let's kill the node.
Okay. That was almost
tragic.
Right here. Oh.
No, right here.
Yeah, right.
There you go.
Of course.
Now.
Yep. Okay.
We're going to do this a couple of times in a couple different ways. First of all, I'm not going to let anything bad happen to you, particularly with quick saves and quick loads.
Oh yeah.
And we're going to explain why such a small feeble puff had such a pronounced difference on our effect.
Okay.
Let's plot a circularization burn, or capture burn.
All right. Here we go. There we are.
Roughly circular.
Yep. I know. I just was making my life making my life easier.
That's fine.
Making that is so nice, man. That's gonna make my life so much easier. There we go.
That's actually pretty good right there. Yeah.
Yep.
That's rock solid.
So low we could almost reach out and touch the tops of the mountains if the moon had any.
The moon does have them.
Yeah. I don't think they're quite high. I don't think they're quite the 14 kilometers high, though.
No, they're not.
Yeah.
No,
okay.
So, let us perform this burn. Let's quick save and time warp past the transition.
Sounds good. Here we go.
Now, for viewers at home, I specifically suggested that we time warp past the transition. I'm sure that, well, Gordon's actually mentioned in his other videos, he's aware of the wonky effects of the math when you actually cross those SOI transitions while in a state of time acceleration. But this is just a sandbox and a laboratory for educational purposes.
Yeah.
So we're not really going to be worried about it.
Yeah. So usually I've found that you need to reset.
Oh, no. What'd you do?
Absolutely nothing. That's
there.
That's just as soon as I crossed the transition, it just shifted all over the place. I think that's that whole thing you were talking about with the math going wonky a bit when you.
It was either that or it was a misclick, and either way, it doesn't matter. You fixed it.
Yeah, it's just interesting that the okay, that hasn't changed. Should I? I guess I should circularize that just a bit higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oops, no, that's the wrong one. Circularize.
Wrong.
Yeah. Wrong keyboard. Wrong click. 23, 24. There we are. All back to normal.
All right. Yes, we're performing to saving of quickness.
We can quickly save.
Yes.
All right. So let's bring it in a little bit closer, because 40 minutes would be a long time to wait for that burn to come around. Boy.
Indeed.
Yeah. The acceleration as it approaches the moon is really disconcerting. All right, let's get a bit of rotation
We can
going.
talk about that in another episode.
Yeah, absolutely. That's because it seems like it's not going that fast as it's way out here, and then as it comes into the moon, it starts going faster and faster. It's very disconcerting. There we go. On our burn node, 1 minute and 16 seconds, so it's T minus 8 seconds, so it's really almost doesn't matter one way or the other. But it's always good to be careful. You never know when it's going to matter. So here we go. Full throttle to the engines, and we will put this thing into orbit, and I will just monitor that number right there. And there we go. 18. Okay, I overshot just a little. Did I overshoot?
Well roasted. A little bit. Not bad.
Yeah.
The way you can tell if you overshot is by comparing both of your reality flags with both of your projection flags.
Yeah. And I accidentally closed it. But
yep.
Yeah.
Let us menu quick save Munar arrival.
All right, Alt F5, Munar arrival. Saved. Okay.
All right. Are you ready to land?
Absolutely.
Okay. I think we're going to land